Morning guys, Chris VA Travels, and greetings from Gloucester Point, Virginia. I'm at the very tip of the Middle Peninsula, just across the York River from Yorktown, and I'm going to do a walkthrough of Tyndall's Point Park. A small park. There's about a quarter-mile walking trail just walking around these fortifications that go back to 1667. And it's kind of an unassuming piece of land, but a lot of history. These forts played a part during the American Revolution and the Civil War. I mean, and this is a Patreon subscriber request. Billy Molyneux, here you go, sir. All right, so right here it just talks about Gloucester Point. And Tyndall Park was named after Robert Tyndall. He was on a little expedition with John Smith. Yeah, he charted and mapped this little area with Christopher Newport as well. And let's see, first land patent here goes back to 1640 to Argyle Yardley. And he's the son of one of the first Virginia governors, George Yardley. Yeah, and this was known as Tyndall's Point up until the American Revolution, when it was then named Gloucester Point. So, and those are some of the fortifications right there. You can see they're pretty overgrown. Take a look at this first plaque here. Welcome to Gloucester Point. And it's kind of going over what I just talked about, 400 years of history. Here we are, the George P. Coleman Bridge, which was, right over there. And this is now maintained by the Virginia Institute of Marine Science in the county of Gloucester. And this marker was placed here back October 1981. And it talks about, this is actually the point of the final point of British surrender. The troops here surrendered about an hour after the troops at Yorktown. So this pretty much marked the end of the American Revolution. Technically went on for a couple more years, of course, before the British officially surrendered. But yeah, this marked basically the end of the American Revolution on this side here. And it was the Bannister Tarleton was leading the British troops here on this side of the York River. And if you ever see Mel Gibson's movie The Patriot, that's pretty much the bad guy with dark hair. He's got a different name in the movie, but that's him. So yeah, 1,000 British troops against the American, almost 3,000 American / French forces. And the British had set up fortification here. During the Battle of the Hook took place just a couple miles up the road. It took place, there's a Hardee's up there in an auto zone if you're coming down 17, where the actual battle took place, and it was the largest cavalry battle during the American Revolution. It was part of the Battle of Yorktown, basically. All right, talking about the natives, tobacco, the buccaneers, the pirates. Yeah, going over some more of the history, and this is John Smith's famous map. And it published 1624, and he had labeled this Tyndall's Point on the map, and talks a little bit about how these fortifications, like I say, 1667 were first built, and they were built in fear of an attack from the Dutch, actually. And it looks like originally they were 10 feet high with a brick face. 15 cannons were mounted by 1711. And then also this goes over some of the history of Gloucester. Gloucester was named after the Duke of Gloucester. He was the third son of King Charles I. So, yeah, kind of interesting. And Gloucester was the most populated area in Virginia through the 1600s. A couple more over here, get another shot of the fortification. Okay, where north meets south, Virginia fortifies Gloucester Point. July 30th, 1948, Library of Congress. And it looks like the fort, the backside was facing the river. Bunch of guns right here. And yeah, I can tell you 1861 to 1862, held by Confederate troops. 1862, taken over by Union forces until the end of the war. And don't know much Civil War history. I can tell you that the first shots in Virginia were fired here at Gloucester Point. And at one time there was a minor skirmish while the Union Army was holding the fort. They had one point gone into the Gloucester courthouse, stole a bunch of horses, pigs and whatnot for food, and were eventually repelled. It's most known for its use during the American Revolution, and more specifically the Battle of the Hook. Here we are again, the Banistrade Tarleton. And this guy here, the Duke de Luzon. And yeah, he led Luzon's legions. And just to give you a quick overview of the Battle of the Hook, British troops held the fort to obviously prevent any colonial advancement crossing the river into Yorktown. So they held the fort. The colonials obviously got word, and John Page and Warner Lewis authorized a militia. John Page from over at Roswell, part of the big Page family. I think he was our 13th Virginia governor. And Warner Lewis from over at Warner Hall. I need to visit that. He's actually the brother of Fielding Lewis, for any Fredericksburg people over there that ran Kenmore downtown, who was the husband of Betty Washington, George Washington's sister. So anyway, they mustered up a militia that was led by George Wheaton, again of Fredericksburg fame. He lived in a house called the Century Box on Lower Caroline Street. Sorry, I know there's some Fredericksburg people watching my channel. Yeah, so they mustered up a militia, and anyway, so what ended up happening is that the colonial militia was headed down what is now Route 17. The troops had gone out foraging, looking for food, and they met up, like I say, at the Hardee's in the auto zone there, a couple miles up 17. It's kind of a back and forth skirmish, and then one time a regiment led by a guy named John Mercer ended up pushing the British troops back to the fort, and that's where they remained for the next 2 weeks to the end of the Battle of Yorktown. Oh, and the Union Army had renamed this Fort Gilpin during the Civil War. Yeah, a lot of markers back here. And see what's up here. I don't know if this was anything at one time. Parts of a Parrott rifle, and this is you can always tell the Parrott rifle, they've got the reinforced kind of breech there at the end. And that was a big one. All right, so it looks like this local resident, Mr. Stokes, his family held this thing for 70 years up until 1978 when they donated it. All right. And pretty much going through the Battle of Yorktown. I won't go through all that. I'm sure probably most people who clicked on this probably know more about it than I do. But okay, the Battle of the Capes. They talked a lot about this when I visited the Cape Henry Lighthouse right over here. Quick story with that. Obviously, Cornwallis had occupied Yorktown, trying to set up a port here. The Americans had dispatched the French who were down in the Caribbean, and they made it here before the British fleet could arrive. Set up a blockade. That became the Battle of the Capes. And an old map here, looks like there were 20 cannons spread across 3 redoubts here at Gloucester Point. And the surrender of Cornwallis. And he famously didn't want to give George Washington a sword. Supposedly, I think he said he was sick or something, I don't know. But oh yeah, and what happened at the end of the Battle of Yorktown, once the British troops had realized all that was lost, they tried to row all their soldiers across the York River over here to escape, but bad weather set in, hampered it, and yeah, so then they ended up surrendering. Okay, so yeah, like I said, it was about a quick quarter-mile walk, and looks like 3 more of these plaques to read. And this is talking about McClellan's Peninsula Campaign, and pretty neat observation balloons. I guess this would probably be the fort, maybe. Yeah, so it just talks about how the fort changed hands. That would be on May 4th. Union forces closed in. And walk down here to the very end. Yeah, see some more earthworks there. I think these earthworks go back to the Civil War, but the originals, they had been kind of just whatever, washed over or taken down. Yeah, some more over here. It says keep off. I'm glad I came out here. This is kind of inspiring me to visit Yorktown. I've been wanting to go, been putting it off, but you still see fortifications way over there. So here we go. War on Gloucester Point, ancient defender of the York. And just going through more on the Peninsula Campaign. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for Tyndall's Point Park. Good place to check out if you're ever visiting Yorktown, right across the bridge here. And yeah, that's going to do it. So as always, like and subscribe. See ya.